Warm welcome to my dear students. Hope you all are well and healthy. And let's start our session. Standard 10, Unit 1st, Subject English, Chapter 1.5, and the title of the topic is Joan of Arc. And this chapter is explained by your favorite teacher, Deepak sir. Again, hope you all are healthy, and let's start the topic. Friends, let's remember the forgotten phases of our Indian history. Can you identify this picture for me? Who is she? Yes, you are right. She is Rani of Jhansi, Lakshmi Bai. Next, who is she? Don't know? She is Rani Avanti Bai Lodhi of Ramgarh. The next one is Begum Hazrat Mahal. And this is the picture of Rani Zinda Kaur. She is Azizun Bai. She is Uda Devi, and this is the Rani of Mewar, Rani Karnavati. Friends, we all are aware about one lady whose name is Rani of Jhansi, but the pictures in front of you shows that there were so many women who fought bravely for India. Okay, so here in this video we are remembering the forgotten phases of our Indian history. Let's see about our lesson. See.
In a time of oppression, the soldiers are coming. There's no time.
I will not lose my daughter.
She was an innocent.
I have never seen such piety at an early age.
What puts these dreams inside your head?
A leader.
I must help unite the people of France.
God puts us where He wants us.
And a warrior.
For God's sakes, child. Be careful.
A woman so extraordinary.
I had heard voices as clearly as I'm speaking to you now.
What have your voices said to you?
That my destiny lies elsewhere.
She is still an inspiration.
She is going to unite all of France behind me.
Joan of Arc.
You are so brave. You are capable of more possibilities than you even imagine.
She gave hope to a monarchy
Your Majesty, you must have faith, and the people of France will follow.
and brought unity to a nation.
If she wears the part well, the troops might rally.
Strike the English hard and kill them to the man.
We are not on a mission of vengeance, Captain.
What if she fails?
What if she succeeds?
Until those who praised her
Your Majesty, it is God's will that France is united.
You presume to speak for God?
God speaks for himself.
plotted to destroy her.
I warn you that the girl is neither liar nor hypocrite. She believes she has been instructed by God. She is an unrepentant heretic, and she will burn.
Why are you punishing me for talking to God?
You will bravely face whatever life hands you. You are perilously close to heresy.
And when did truth become known as heresy?
You ask for eternal damnation!
Even if the stake were raised and the fire lit, I would not lose faith in God.
So friends, this is the glance of our history. It is our history because the world is one for everyone, and We are here learning about a great, you can say, historian, Saint Jenny of Arc. This is her native name. Her date of birth is 6th of Jan 1412 and she died on 30th March 1431. The people used to call her La Pusili. La Pusili, that means the Maid of Orleans. So, here this topic is written by George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw. Let's see who is George Bernard Shaw. Her period is 1856 to 1950, and this man was an Irish playwright and also a critic. He wrote more than 60 plays during his lifetime, including major works such as Man and Superman, and this book was published on 1902, and Pygmalion 1912 में आया था, and Saint John he wrote on 1923. So you can understand the mastermind of this history which he had put on the paper was George Bernard Shaw. He was the, you can say, leading dramatist also. So Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc. Let's see who is Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc, a peasant girl living in a medieval France, believed that God had chosen her to lead France to victory in its long-running war with England. And this war is known as the 100-Year War, with no military training because she was a peasant girl. John herself convinced the embattled Crown Prince Charles of the Valois to allow her to lead a French army to the besieged city of Orleans, where it achieved a momentous victory over the English and their French allies, the Burgundians. So, after seeing the prince crowned King Charles VII, John was captured by Anglo-Burgundian forces. So, here in this topic, try to understand a peasant girl had tried her level best to free the France and the Orleans. And by the grace of God, I can say that she was a successful warrior and her king Charles VII, he got himself as crowned himself as the king of France. But see the misery with that girl. She was captured by Anglo-Burgundian forces and tried for witchcraft and heresy and burned at the stake in 1431 at the age of 19. Now, by the time she was officially canonized in 1920, the Maid of Orleans, as she was known, had long been considered one of the history's greatest saints and an enduring symbol of French unity and nationalism. Look at the picture. Who is Joan of Arc? Joan of Arc was a mere, you can say, 17 to 18-year-old girl, a well-built and a manful country girl. Manful, that means a brave country girl. She was born in a peasant family. Her father was Jacques d'Arc and the name of her mother was Isabelle Romy. She was called Jenny in Lorraine and John in France, but the soldiers called her maid. So here you can come to know that she was called with the different name by the different people. She seemed neither afraid of anyone. She was a real patriot, but she met Squire and told him to meet Dauphin for saving France. She was confident that Delphine would give her whatever she needed. To meet Delphine, she was in need of, you can say, a horse and armor, and she was really a manful girl, as she was asking only some soldiers for the help. She had an idea of motivating the French army and wanted to teach them how to wage a war on England and drive the Britishers from the France or the Orleans. Her strong determination was that there would not be a single soldier on the soil of France, although she was not a soldier. Consider this line. She claimed that soldiering cannot be a difficult job if God is in their side. She was a real optimistic person, and in her every word, the reader can see her patriotic attitude and love for France. So, this is, you can say, a short summary about Joan of Arc. Friends, this topic, Joan of Arc, covers exactly the historic and patriotic nature of a girl called Joan. This girl is John, who is trying to be extremely patriotic, who is going to be extreme good amount of wives to do something good for her nation, France. And she is wanting the Britishers to be taken cut from their land of France. And by this time, she wishes that I am the one who will help everybody. Even if you believe that I am a girl, you feel that being a girl, what can I do? What can I do good? But I know that I can do really wonderful, and I also believe I will be able to put in the best possible from my aim to serve my country, or you can say to save my motherland, France. And this France is, you can say, captivated, or you can say uh, won by the Britishers. There was a rule of the Britishers. And so she wanted to save her country, France, from the clutches of the Britishers. Now we are aware that the Britishers were one right from the day one. They were the people, they were not bad actually, but these people were trying to rule over the entire world. They ruled over the entire Asian continents. You can say you can say entire Southeast Asian countries. You can say Africa, the America, and the France also. So these people wanted to rule and establish the English colonies to various parts of Europe also. In this process of doing, you can say this what doing this what these people did, these people did here was this these people did not get themselves accustomed with the customs and the rituals and the traditions of their land, but they wanted the people that they were ruling to get to use what these people wanted. This is where these Britishers turned absolutely fall for the people. So John believes that that this is not their right, and we are in the colonized rule. But if I want my nation to get out of this colonized rule, that I will make sure that even if I led my life, I believe that nothing bad will happen, because this will result into free my nation from the clutches of these Britishers. So here is, you can say, a short description about the girl. Though she was girl and a peasant girl, not trained one, she was not afraid about the soldiering, or you can say having a war against the Britishers, because she believes that nothing bad will happen. Why? Because she was thinking that God is in her side. So let's see what has happened in this lesson.
Time History. Tonight our story takes place in the medieval times, also called the Middle Ages. This was the time of kings and castles and knights and battles over kingdoms. It was also a time where many people had very little to eat and had to work very hard. In the country of France, one of these poor families had a daughter named Joan. Joan worked every day to take care of the animals on the farm and sew and do other things to help the family survive. Young Joan was also very kind and always thinking about others. When others were sick, she would visit them and bring them food to help them feel better. She was unselfish. Being unselfish is when you think more about others than yourself. At this time, there was a war going on between Joan's country of France and another country, England, who controlled parts of France. From a young age, Joan began to feel that she was called to help the people of France be free again. She began to tell her family and other people in her village about her strong beliefs. Soon other villages heard what Joan was saying about freedom, and they believed her. She decided to go to the King of France and tell him what she believed. At first the king didn't want to listen to her, but she was persistent. Persistence is when you keep doing something even when it is hard. When the king finally listened to her message of hope, he decided to let her go to battle. They dressed Joan in armor and put her on an armored horse and sent her off with the other soldiers. During the battle, Joan carried a large flag. When the other soldiers saw Joan's flag, it gave them hope, because they knew it was being carried by the brave young girl who believed France could be free again. Seeing Joan and her flag made them strong, and they won more battles whenever Joan was there. Joan had courage. Courage is when you do something even though it may be scary or hard. During one dangerous battle, they had to ride boats past the enemy guns. The wind was weak that day, so they were going very slow. The soldiers started to wonder if they would survive and began to panic. Joan stayed positive and spoke to them, encouraging them, reassuring them that it would be all right. Soon the winds picked up and they sailed past the enemy guns without getting hit. Later during the battle, the captains had attacked, but the army was not doing well. Joan heard what was happening and knew they needed her help. She jumped onto her horse and galloped up to the front of the battle. There she saw many soldiers who were hurt. She had sympathy for them. Sympathy is when you feel bad for someone and want to help. Joan rode her horse into the battle, and the soldiers began to cheer. They fought harder and eventually won the battle. Joan saw that many of the enemy soldiers had been hurt. Even though they were the enemy, she still cared about them. Eventually, she became known as Joan of Arc. Joan gave the soldiers hope through many battles. Eventually, there was peace between France and England. Later, Joan was captured and put in jail for a time. But no matter what happened to her, she stood up for her beliefs. There may be times in life that others will laugh at you or say mean things because of what you believe in. But like Joan, you can ignore them and stand strong anyway. This is called having conviction.
Like Joan, you can think about others instead of yourself. You can be brave and have courage when things are scary or hard. Next time you go.
So friends, before I start the explanation of the topic Joan of Arc, let's see the grammar part of this lesson. Warming up. The first activity is you have to make a list of weapons used in the old times and in the present times. So see the table. Weapons used in the old times were sword, javelin, spear, dagger axe, mac, maduvu, katar, katana, lances, bows and arrows. Then weapons used in the present times, we are using pistols, guns, rifles, bombs, missiles, revolver, laser cannon, then hand grenades, then you can say hand grenades, then landmines. So this is the first activity, and the next one is, imagine that you are the captain of your school kabaddi team. Your final match is against a very strong team. Your team members are sure that you will lose. How will you boost their morale? So here the answer is, I will motivate my team members in the following way. I will tell them, even if our opponent is an elephant, a small ant can defeat it. The next motivation is, I will tell them the weak points of our opponents and will also recall them our strong points. Then I will motivate them to give 100% of ours and do the best. I will tell them success come to those who dare and act, and I will also tell them to play for the honor and dignity of our school's name and fame. So the last line is very important. I will tell them to play for the honor and dignity of our school's name and fame. So here one can, you can say, win the war, because when we are fighting to save our skin, that means to save our life, then we cannot win. But if we are playing for the sake of our country, when we are playing for the sake of our, you can say, school, then definitely we will achieve the success. So this is what I want to teach you. Students, before entering into the drama, because here Joan of Arc is a drama written by George Bernard Shaw. So we have the characters. Let's identify the characters. The first very important central character is Joan of Arc. है ना, ये Joan of Arc. Her native name is Jane d'Arc, and the soldiers called her only the maid. Actually, the maid is the English word, but the French word for the maid is la pusili. The next one is Robert the Baudricourt. This fellow is the Senapati, high command of the army. John went to him. The next one is the king, Dauphin. King Dauphin, ये राजा था. Dauphin, that means the oldest son of the king of France, the one who would become the king after his father. The third picture in front of you is the steward. Then Polenge. Now whatever characters will come in front of you, they all are in favor of John to fight with the Britishers. And the first picture, Robert the Baudricourt, was against her. Okay, याद रखने का. Rest of the pictures now which I am showing you, they all are ready to help John. Okay, so Polenge, then Squire Jack, then beta Dick the Archer, myths John Godsev, and the two servants of John Godsev, John of Honcourt. The boy's name is John of Honcourt and the lady is Julian. So these are the characters which you will come to know in this lesson. So I think I skip one activity, and let's see that activity. Here adding the different preposition to the same action verb changes the meaning of the phrase also. है ना, जो भी मीनिंग आएगा वो मीनिंग चेंज करेगा when you put preposition to that verb. For example, the word is call out. Out is the preposition. That means announce. The next one is call at. That means visit. Call from. That means summon or the order. Call up. That means make a telephonic call. And call off. That is to cancel. Now guess the difference in the meaning of the underlined phrases. Guess the difference in meanings of the underlined phrases. The first one, he promised to look into the matter. He promised to look into the matter. Here, to look into, that means investigate scientifically. Second, he asked me to look for his lost book. Here, to look for means, the first one is to look into. Into is the preposition, okay? And to look for, that means his lost, that means to try to discover. The third one, I shall look forward to your arrival. That means to expect or hope. The next one is an epidemic of cholera broke out in the village. Broke out, that means spread unexpectedly. The thieves broke into the locked house. That means entered forcibly and illegally. The thieves broke into the locked house. That means entered forcibly and illegally. They broke up their friendship. That means an end of a relationship. The third one is you must carry out your duty faithfully. Out means to carry out, that means to follow or pursue. Please carry on with your work. That means go on with your work. They carried off the trophy in the football matches. That means they won the trophy. Next one, carry forward the remaining balance to the next pages. That means transferred from one page to the another. Now here is some important, you can say, exercise for 1 mark, because this topic Joan of Arc is very important for the exam point of view also. So here are some, you can say, phrases or the words, है ना, इसका आपको sentence बनाना है. The first one is blockade. That means foolish. Blockade being a blockade, Pappu does not know how to protest. Then have put fire in me. That means the sentence which I am using here is Mrs. Patil advised Priya to put fire into her speech to get the desired result. Wash one's hands off. That means Raju washed for long to wash his hands off the responsibility. Obstinately, John obstinately refused to consider the project. Wavering, that means hesitating. Here, the chief minister of the state tried to convince his wavering ministers. So here, before I start drama, look at the video. Here, Joan of Arc or the maid is standing in front of Robert the Baudricourt. She was in the court of Robert the Baudricourt. Okay, so Joan of Arc, let's look at the setting. Period is 1429. Location Eastern France. Scene of the play here given. Scene of the given play. Here is a room of Captain Squire's military camp, and the characters are Robert the Baudricourt, steward, Joan herself, and Monsieur the Poligny. Monsieur means the French word for Mr. Main plot, John struggled for saving the New Orleans and France. So the theme of the drama is only she is trying to save her country and New Orleans from the clutches of the Britishers. So Joan of Arc. See, the war fought between England and France from 1337 to 1453. This has come to be known as the Hundred Years' War. Joan was a peasant girl born in eastern France who led the French army to several victories during this war. Now, this play begins at the time when all the northern France and some parts of the southwestern were under the foreign control. The English controlled some parts and the Burgundians controlled the others. The city of the New Orleans, one of the few remaining French cities, was held by the English. The year is 1429. Captain Robert de Baudricourt, a military officer, is seated at the table and a steward stands facing him. So the first dialogue, Robert the Baudricourt. What he is telling to steward, I told you to throw the girl out. You have 50 armed soldiers and dozens of strong servants to carry out my orders. Are they afraid of her? Now here Robert is ordering his steward कि मैंने बोला था आप उस लड़की को उठा के फेंक दो, डरते हो क्या उससे? What the steward was saying? Steward was saying, no sir, we are afraid of you. But she puts courage in us. She really does not seem to be afraid of anything. Perhaps you could frighten her, sir. What the stewards reply? He was saying, नहीं सर हम नहीं डरते, हम आपसे डरते हैं, हम उस लड़की से नहीं डरते हैं. देखो शायद आप उसको डरा सको. Robert grimly that means seriously. Perhaps. Where is she now? ठीक है, seriously वो बोलता है ठीक है चलो मैं डराता हूँ उसको. कहाँ पर है वो? Where is she now? Steward replied him, down sir, down in the courtyard sir. Robert goes to the window and asks the soldiers to send the girl up. तो वो अपनी जगह से उठता है और जाके नीचे ऊपर से ऑर्डर देता है एक स्टीवर्ड को और एक सोल्जर्स को, उस लड़की को ऊपर भेजो. The girl enters. She is a well-built, strong country girl of maybe 17 to 18 years. 17-18 साल की लड़की है ये शायद से. The squire's glare neither frightens her nor stops her. You can say the squire लोग थे, जमींदार लोग थे. Squire मतलब वहाँ के reputed class of the country. They were seated beside Robert the Baudricourt, and she entered with you can say a proudy lioness. When she entered, everyone was glaring, but she was neither frightened and nor stopped. She speaks confidently, है ना? वो एकदम प्यार से उससे बात करती है. जॉन क्या बात करती है देखेंगे. What John is saying, good morning, sir. Good morning, Captain Squire. उसका tuning आप देख सकते हो. She is happy that at last Robert the Baudricourt calls her. Good morning, Captain Squire. You are to give me a horse and armor. What she is saying, sir, आप मुझे एक घोड़ा देंगे and armor देंगे. Armor that means protective clothing of metal or leather worn in the battles by the soldier in the former times. तो वो ऐसे ऊपर से पहनते थे like jacket जैसा. And some soldiers and send me to the day of inn. And आप मुझे day of inn के पास भेज दोगे. Robert is saying this girl is mad. Why didn't you tell me so, you blockhead? What made Robert angry? जब ये लड़की बोलती कि सर मुझे एक घोड़ा दे दो और कुछ आर्मर दे दो, सम सोल्जर्स दे दो और डे ऑफ इनके पास भेज दो, तो वो रॉबर्ट जो था लड़की का ये स्टेटमेंट से he became angry on her. The girl is mad. Why didn't you tell me so? You blockhead. ये लड़की पागल है, बोला क्यों नहीं? Steward, है ना? Steward said, sir, do not anger her. Give her what she wants. Robert, I shall send you back to your father with orders to put you under lock and key. वापस तुझे मैं बोल दूंगा तेरे फादर को, ये लड़की को रूम में लॉक करके रखो, भेजो मत इधर. Because she is trying to go again and again to Robert and asking him for a horse and armor and the address of Deofin. Deofin का एड्रेस बताओ मुझे, भेज दो, कहाँ पर है आपका राजा, मैं जाऊंगी उस राजा के पास. John says, you think you will. You know what John's reply, in a very calm state of mind, what she is saying to Robert the Baudricourt. आप सोचते हो आप कर पाओगे स्क्वायर, but it won't happen that way. You said you would not see me, but here I am. तुमने बोला था अब मैं वापस नहीं आऊंगी, but see, मैं वापस आ गई. Robert says, so you are assuming that I will give you what you want. Is that your perception? है ना? Is that you thinking that you are taking for granted, that you think that I will provide you? John says, yes, squire, continuously, busily. A horse will cost 16 francs. It is a big amount of money, but I can save it on my armor. I don't need beautiful armor made for my measurement. I can find a soldier's armor that will fit me well enough. I shall not want many soldiers. The Dauphin will give me all I needed to free my Orleans. So what the girl is saying in front of Robert the Baudricourt, she is saying, sir, एक घोड़े का प्राइस 16 फ्रैंक्स है, मुझे मालूम है ये ज़्यादा एक्सपेंसिव है, बट आई कैन सेव इट ऑन माई आर्मर. मुझे नया आर्मर बनाने का ज़रूरत नहीं है. कोई भी सोल्जर, दूसरा कोई सोल्जर रहेगा जिसका और मेरा मेजरमेंट सेम रहेगा तो वो मैं पहन लूँगी. डोंट वरी, आई शैल नॉट वांट मेनी सोल्जर्स, है ना. एंड द किंग विल प्रोवाइड एवरीथिंग व्हाट आई नीड, है ना. मुझे जो भी चाहिए टू फ्री ऑर्लियंस, टू फ्री फ्रांस, मुझे राजा दे देगा. प्लीज़ सेंड मी टू हिम, दैट इज़ माई रिक्वेस्ट. एंड व्हेन रॉबर्ट heard this, na, he was shocked because the last word of John was to free Orleans. वो बोलता है कि मुझे ऑर्लियंस को फ्री कराना है. द गर्ल इज सेइंग, द गर्ल इज रिक्वेस्टिंग, जॉन ऑफ आर्क इज रिक्वेस्टिंग रॉबर्ट द बाउद्रिकोट, सर मुझे भेजो, मुझे ऑर्लियंस को फ्री कराना है फ्रॉम द क्लचेस ऑफ द ब्रिटिशर्स. And by hearing this, Robert was shocked. To free Orleans? Orleans को free करना चाहती हो? John says simply, yes, squire. 3 men will be enough for you to send with me. मुझे सिर्फ 3 लोग मेरे को चाहिए. Polly and Jack have promised to come with me. Polly, that Monsieur de Poligny. Robert says, you mean Monsieur de Poligny? Monsieur is a French word. Like you can say Mr. Deepak sir, Mr. Nalin sir, like that. So Monsieur, that means Mr. Poligny चाहिए तुमको? Yes, squire. Jack will come willingly. Yes, sir. Poligny और Jack आप मुझे दे दो. Jack सामने से आने के लिए तैयार है मेरे साथ में. Yes, sir. Squire Jack will come willingly. He is a very kind gentleman and he gives me money to give to the poor. See the introduction which is putting in front of Robert the Baudricourt about, you can say, Jack. According to her, Jack is a very kind gentleman and he also gives her money to go to give to the poor. I think John Godser will come. See what she is saying कि ये दो दे दो. पहला बोल रही है कि पॉली एंड जेक दे दो, और जेक तो बहुत अच्छा बंदा है, उसने तो मुझे गरीबों को देने के लिए पैसे भी दिए थे. मुझे लग रहा है कि जॉन गॉडसे भी आएगा मेरे साथ में, एंड डिक द आर्चर वो भी आएगा. एंड डिक द आर्चर के 2 सर्वेंट्स हैं ना, जॉन ऑफ ऑनकोर्ट एंड जूलियन, वो दोनों भी आएंगे मेरे साथ में. देयर विल बी नो ट्रबल फॉर यू स्क्वायर. तुम्हें कोई प्रिपरेशंस करने का ज़रूरत नहीं है. आई हैव अरेंज्ड इट ऑल. यू हैव ओनली टू गिव द ऑर्डर. सिर्फ ऑर्डर दे दो. रॉबर्ट स्टीवर्ड के सामने देखता है Is this about Monsieur the Polingi? Steward eagerly says, yes sir, and about the Monsieur the myths too. ये Monsieur the myths too, myths के बारे में भी बता रही है. They both want to go with her. दोनों साथ में जाने के लिए तैयार है. Robert goes to the window again. Robert विंडो के पास जाता है and shouts into the courtyard. नीचे और चिल्लाता है जोर से, Send Monsieur the Polingi to me. Will you please send Monsieur the Polingi to me? भेजो जल्दी से, जल्दी भेजो. He turns to John. Get out and wait in the yard. भाग यहाँ से और नीचे यार्ड में खड़ी रहे. John smiling brightly at him. Right square. ठीक है ना, जाती हूँ. And she goes out. रॉबर्ट उसको चिल्ला के बोलता है कि भाग यहाँ से, Get out from my court and wait in the courtyard for my next order. और वो हंस के चली जाती है, smiling brightly at him. Right sir, right square. And she goes out. Robert to the steward. Go with her. जाओ उस लड़की के साथ में. Stay within call and keep your eye on her. That means make sure what she is doing. जा जाके श्योरिटी कर कि वो क्या कर रही है नीचे जाके. I shall have her up here again. मुझे वो लड़की वापस एक बार इधर ऊपर कोर्ट में चाहिए. The steward retreats hastily. वो जाता है. Bertrand the Polingi, a French guard, enters, salutes and stands waiting. तो स्टीवर्ड का जाने का और Bertrand the Polingi एंट्री करता है क्योंकि नीचे से उसको कोई सोल्जर बोलता है कि कोर्ट में आपको बुलाया है. What was he? He was a French soldier. He enters. He was a French guard. He enters. Then he salutes Robert the Baudricourt and he stands there for, you can say, the next order. What Robert says? Robert says, she says you. She says you. Jack and Dick have offered to go with her. What for? वो लड़की बता रही थी कि तुम, that means Monsieur the Polingi, Jack and Dick, आप तीनों उसके साथ जा रहे हो. क्यों जा रहे हो भाई? What for? Do you take her crazy ideas of going to the day of in seriously? Polingi slowly, क्योंकि Polingi is a servant of Robert the Baudricourt, तो वो इतना आवाज़ बढ़ा के नहीं बोल रहा है, slowly बोल रहा है. There is something about her, sir. उस लड़की में कुछ है. It may be worth trying. Try करते हैं ना. What Robert says? Oh, come on, Polly. You must be out of your mind. तेरा दिमाग ठिकाने पे है कि नहीं? एक लड़की अंग्रेज से लड़ेगी. Polingi unmoved. What is wrong with it, sir? What is wrong with it, sir? The Dauphin is in Chinon. Now he exposes everything about the king. The Dauphin is in Chinon. Dauphin भाग गया है चिनॉन में. Like a rat in a corner. एक चूहा कैसे छुप जाता है, ऐसा छिप गया है अपना किंग. Except that he won't fight and he उसने एक्सेप्ट भी कर लिया है कि वो लड़ेगा नहीं अंग्रेज के सामने, ब्रिटिशर्स के सामने. The English will take Orleans. अभी हम लोग जहाँ खड़े, अभी हमारा जो कोर्ट है वो ऑर्लियंस में, वो फ्रांस तो ले चुके हैं ब्रिटिशर्स. एंड दिस इंग्लिश विल टेक अवर ऑर्लियंस टू. ही विल नॉट बी एबल टू स्टॉप देम. अवर किंग हैज़ नो करेज टू फाइट विद द ब्रिटिशर्स. वो उनको रोक नहीं पाएगा. व्हाट पॉलिंग इज आंसर? देखना बेटा. रॉबर्ट रिप्लाइड, मॉन्सियर दी पॉलिंगी. रॉबर्ट बोलता है उसको, ही बीट the English the year before last Montagues. Robert is in favor of the king. Robert the Baudricourt. वो बोलता है कि उसने इंग्लिश को हराया है लास्ट में जब वॉर हुआ तब. एंड दैट वॉर हुआ था मॉन्टार्गिस में हुआ था. आई वॉज विद हिम बिकॉज ही वॉज द सेनापति. मैं था. डोंट मेक एनी स्टेटमेंट अबाउट Dauphin के बारे में कोई स्टेटमेंट मत बोलो कि ही इज़ अ कावर्ड. ही इज़ अ ब्रेव किंग. उसने अंग्रेज को हराया है मॉन्टार्गिस में. मैं था उनके साथ में, Polingi, but his men are coward. Though he was a brave king, भले वो brave रहने दो, Polingi says, लेकिन उसके soldiers coward हो गए. Now he can't work miracles. अभी उसमें कोई miracles करने का कोई strength नहीं रहा है अपने राजा में. And I tell you, that nothing can save our country, our side now but a miracle only. तो यहाँ पे पॉलिंगी was insisting that राजा भले ब्रेव है लेकिन हमारे सोल्जर्स थक चुके हैं फाइट करते करते. सो अभी कोई भगवान का मिरेकल होगा तो ही हो सकता है, अदरवाइज इंग्लिश डेफिनेटली कैप्चर्ड ऑर्लियंस टू. रॉबर्ट सेज मिरेकल्स आर ऑल राइट. पॉली यार ये मिरेकल्स तो सब ठीक है. द ओनली डिफिकल्टी अबाउट देम इज दैट दे डोंट हैपन नाउअडेज. दिस इज द फैक्ट. चमत्कार होते हैं लेकिन वही एक प्रॉब्लम है कि अभी चमत्कार नहीं होते बिकॉज इट इज़ कलयुग. अभी चमत्कार होना पॉसिबल नहीं है. पॉलिंगी आई यूज टू थिंक सो. सर मैं भी यही सोचता था. आई एम नॉट सो श्योर नाउ. देयर इज समथिंग अबाउट हर. ये लड़की में कुछ है. आई थिंक द गर्ल हर सेल्फ इज अ बिट ऑफ मिरेकल. ये लड़की एक चमत्कार है. एनी हाउ दिस इज अवर लास्ट चांस. लेट्स सी व्हाट शी कैन डू. देखते हैं ये लड़की क्या कर सकती है. रॉबर्ट इन अ वेवरिंग हेजिटेटिंग मूड. यू रियली थिंक सो. क्या तुम्हें लग रहा है कि वो हो सकता है. यू रियली थिंक दैट. पॉलिंगी टर्निंग. इज देयर एनीथिंग एल्स लेफ्ट फॉर अस टू थिंक. और कोई है क्या हमारे पास ऑप्शन है क्या इसके अलावा सोचने के लिए. लेट्स टेक अ चांसर. हर वर्ड्स पुट अ फायर इनटू मी. शी मोटिवेटेड मी. उन्होंने जब ये लड़की मुझे मिली थी at that time she told me about you can say the war, and the war is against the Britishers. तो इसने जो मेरे से बात किया था. So her words have put fire into me. Put fire into me, that means she had inspired Paulingi. She had motivated Paulingi for the war. So actually Paulingi was, you can say, in favor of Joan of Arc. According to him, there is something about Joan of Arc, and what he was saying about Joan of Arc, that the girl herself is a bit of miracle. ये लड़की में कुछ जादू है. Robert says, giving up. Wow, you are as mad as she. है ना. तू भी ऐसे ही पागल हो गया जैसे ये लड़की पागल हो गई ना. तू भी पागल हो गया पॉली. है ना. गिविंग अप. वो टॉपिक को छोड़ देता है वहाँ से. वाव ऐसा वाव एज अ वर्ड शोइंग यू कैन से अनहैप्पीनेस अबाउट द सिचुएशन. यू आर एज मैड एज शी इज. वो जितनी लड़की पागल हो गई ना लड़ने के लिए वैसा ही तू पागल हो गया. पॉलिंगी ऑब्स्टिनेटली says we want a few mad people now. Obstinately, that is you can say in a stubborn and a firm manner. तो पॉली यहाँ पे ऑब्स्टिनेटली स्टबर्न मैनर में बोलता है कि सर अभी हमें पागल लोग ही चाहिए अपने देश के लिए. बेटा याद है ना भगत सिंह हंसते हंसते चढ़ गया था फांसी पे. ऐसे पागल लोग ही देश को आज़ाद करा सकते हैं. दिस इज द स्टेटमेंट गिवन बाय पॉलिंगी. We want a few mad people now, sir. See where the same ones have landed us. Now Robert says, I feel like a fool. मुझे लग रहा है कि मैं मूर्ख हूँ. If you feel sure. तुम्हें भी लग रहा है कि ऐसी ये लड़की कुछ कर पाएगी. I feel sure enough to take her to Chinon unless you stop me. सर आप मुझे नहीं रोकोगे ना तो मैं उसको चिनौन लेके जाऊँगा राजा के पास में, किंग के पास में. Please don't stop me. आप मुझे अलाउ करो. This is the statement given by Paulingi. Robert says, do you think I ought to have another talk with her? क्या लग रहा है पॉली. एक बार मैं उस लड़की से वापस बात करूं. Going to the window. Yes sir, you can. John, come up. विंडो के पास जाता है पॉलिंगी और बुलाता है जॉन को ऊपर. जॉन ऊपर आना दो. पॉलिंगी ग्रेवली सीरियसली उसको बता रहा है. बी सीटेड डॉटर. बी सीटेड जॉन. बेटी बैठ जाओ. है ना. अर्लियर जब वो आती है ना फर्स्ट टाइम पे कोर्ट में उस टाइम पे वो खड़ी है. नेक्स्ट टाइम पे पॉलिंगी उसको बोलता है कि प्लीज बी सीटेड. रॉबर्ट आस्क्ड हर व्हाट इज योर नेम. क्या नाम है तेरा. जॉन सेज दे ऑलवेज कॉल्ड मी जेनी इन लॉरेन. जब मैं लॉरेन में थी तो दे स्टैंड्स फॉर द पीपल ऑफ लॉरेन. तो गांव वाले मुझे बुलाते थे जेनी के नाम से. हियर इन फ्रांस आई एम जॉन एंड द सोल्जर्स कॉल्ड मी द मेड. सो हाउ ओल्ड आर यू? 17, 17 साल की. सो दे टेल मी हियर. सो दे टेल मी दैट मीन्स पेरेंट्स ने बताया 17 साल की हो गई है. एंड इट माइट बी 19, शायद 19 का भी हो सकती है. मैं आई डोंट रिमेंबर एग्जैक्टली, मेरा एज मुझे मालूम नहीं है. सो हियर द गर्ल इज वेरी फर्म इन हर एवरी स्टेटमेंट. रॉबर्ट सेज, आई सपोज यू थिंक रेजिंग अ सीज is as easy as chasing a cow out of a meadow. What he is saying कि बेटा तुझे लग रहा है I suppose you think raising a seas is as easy as chasing a cow or a buffalo out of the meadow. क्या लग रहा है? एक गाय बैल भैंस को भगाना खेत में से इतना इजी है क्या अंग्रेज को भगाना? You think soldier is anybody's job? क्या लग रहा है? सोल्जरिंग किसी का भी जॉब होगा क्या? John says, I don't think it can be very difficult if God is on your side. Robert Beamley, seriously, have you ever seen English soldiers fighting? Dear John, कभी देखा है तुमने अंग्रेज को लड़ते हुए देखा है? Have you ever seen them plundering? Plundering, that means looting, burning, turning the countryside into a desert. Have you heard no tales of their prince who is the devil himself? उनके राजा के बारे में सोचा नहीं है क्या? कभी सुना नहीं है क्या? शैतान है शैतान. और ऑफ द इंग्लिश किंग्स फादर, उसके डैडी के बारे में भी कभी हिस्ट्री देखा है क्या तूने? Who were they? हाँ मालूम है क्या? John says, you don't understand squire. Our soldiers are always beaten. I agree कि हमारे सोल्जर्स ने मार खाया because they are fighting only to save their skins, to save their lives. हमारे सोल्जर्स ने मार खाया क्योंकि वो अपनी जान बचा कर भागते थे. एंड द शॉर्टेस्ट वे टू सेव अवर स्किन इज टू रन अवे. और जिंदा रहने का एक ही तरीका होता है कि भाग जाओ, वॉर मत करो. बट आई विल टीच देम ऑल टू फाइट फॉर फ्रांस. देन दे विल ड्राइव द सोल्जर्स बिफोर देम लाइक अ शिप. है ना? मैं अभी उनको लड़ना सिखाऊंगी, फ्रांस के लिए लड़ने के लिए, अपनी जान के लिए, अपनी ज़िंदगी के लिए लड़ना नहीं सिखाऊंगी मैं उनको अपने कंट्री के लिए, फॉर द सेक एंड ऑनर ऑफ आवर कंट्री मैं सिखाऊंगी कि अपने देश के लिए लड़ो. और फिर देखो ये कैसे लाइक अ शिप लाइक अ कैटल कैसे भगा देंगे ब्रिटिशर्स को. यू एंड पॉली विल लिव टू सी द डे. तुम लोग दोनों जिंदा रहोगे इस दिन के लिए. एंड एक्चुअली हर वर्ड्स केम ट्रू. You and Polly will live to see the day when there will not be a single English soldier on the soil of France. तुम लोग दोनों जिंदा रहना इस दिन के लिए जब तुम देखोगे कि एक भी ब्रिटिशर्स नहीं रहेगा हमारे सॉइल पे. रॉबर्ट टू पॉलिंग, दिस मे ऑल बी नॉनसेंस व्हाट शी इज सेइंग. ये सब नॉनसेंस बोल रही है पोली. बट द ट्रूप्स माइट जस्ट बी इंस्पायर्ड बाय इट थ्रू नथिंग दैट we seems to put any fire into them. Even the day of in might believe it. Day of in भी यही सोचते थे कि सोल्जर्स तभी कर पाएंगे जब हम उनको मोटिवेट करेंगे. बेटा वो बाजीराव मस्तानी का एक सीन था जिसमें अलाउद्दीन खिलजी एट लास्ट उसके ऊपर देखो वो ऊपर से फायर डालते हैं, उनके कैंप्स एंड टेंट सब जला देते हैं. और फिर वो क्या करता है, वो अपना जो झंडा था ना वो लेके खड़ा हो जाता है कि हम लोग ये परचम लेके निकले थे, ये झंडा लेके निकले थे इंडिया को जीतने के लिए. याद आ रहा है मूवी वो. एंड एट लास्ट दैट अलाउद्दीन खिलजी थ्रो दैट पोल फ्रॉम हिज ओन हैंड. हाथ से ऐसा वो पोल जो था, खंबा था, वो फेंकता है खिलजी का परचम. और सारे सोल्जर्स दौड़ के उस जो झंडा था, वो जो ध्वज था, वो जो उनका परचम था, उनको उठाने के लिए खड़े हो जाते कि नहीं नहीं हम लोग इसको झुकने नहीं देंगे. So this is what the soldiers can do. और ये डेओफिन भी मानता था. And if she can put some fire into him, she can put it into anybody. Actually here कुछ मिसप्रिंट लग रहा है मुझे. It's not fight, it's fire. तो ये मान रहा है यहाँ पे रॉबर्ट कि समझो ये अपने किंग को मोटिवेट कर लेगी. If she can put fire into डेओफिन, then she can put it into anybody. तो फिर ये किसी में भी मोटिवेट करने की इसके पास ताकत है, इस लड़की के पास. Robert says, turning to John, now you listen to me and don't cut in. Cut in, that means don't disturb in. Before I have time to think. Your orders are that you are to go to Chinon under the escort of this gentleman, that means of escort of Paulingi and 3 of his friends. तो here एट लास्ट रॉबर्ट एग्री करता है, जॉन के पास जाता है और बोलता है कि मेरा कुछ डिसीज़न चेंज हो जाए उसके पहले मैं तुझे बता देता हूँ कि तू चिनॉन जाएगी और तेरे साथ में पूरा ट्रूप्स रहेगा, एस्कॉर्ट रहेगा, और द लीडर ऑफ दैट एस्कॉर्ट इज़ मॉन्जियर दी पॉलिंगी, और उसके 3 दोस्त भी रहेंगे. सो जॉन यहाँ पे खुश हो जाती है, रेडिएंट हो जाती है, ब्राइट हो जाती है, एंड शी स्टार्ट क्लास्पिंग हर हैंड्स. वो तालियां बजाती है. ओह थैंक यू स्क्वायर. पॉलिंगी, हाउ इज शी टू गेट इनटू द रॉयल प्रेजेंस. पॉलिंगी के दिमाग में एक डाउट आया इधर कि भाई हम लोग तो इसको भेज रहे हैं यहाँ से, तो ये अपने डेओफिन के सामने कैसे खड़ी होगी. हाउ इज शी टू गेट इनटू द रॉयल प्रेजेंस. हम क्या नाम देके बताए कि कौन है ये लड़की. बिकॉज our king is not aware about this girl. What we will tell this to our king. हम ये बारे में राजा को क्या बताएं. रॉबर्ट सेज आई डोंट नो यार, अभी मेरा दिमाग मत खाओ, मुझे नहीं मालूम है क्या करना है. हाउ डिड शी गेट इनटू माय प्रेजेंस. वो मेरे सामने कैसे आई बताओ. ये लड़की जब मेरे पास आई तो कैसे आई. हाउ डिड शी गेट इनटू माय प्रेजेंस. आई विल सेंड हर टू चिनॉन. मैं उसको चिनॉन भेज रहा हूँ एंड शी कैन से आई सेंट हर. और वो जाके बता सकती है अपने राजा को कि रॉबर्ट बाउद्रिकोट हैज़ सेंट मी, उन्होंने मुझे भेजा है. देन लेट कम वॉट में, फिर देखता हूँ जो होना है सो हो जाए. आई कैन डू नो मोर. ये लड़की के लिए मैं उतना ही कर सकता हूँ. जॉन सेज एंड द ड्रेस सर. सर मुझे सोल्जर्स के कपड़े चाहिए. आई मे हैव अ सोल्जर्स ड्रेस स्क्वायर. शायद मेरे पास में स्क्वायर ऐसा सोल्जर्स का ड्रेस होगा. रॉबर्ट उसके ऊपर गुस्सा है. सो ही सेज टेक व्हाट यू प्लीज़. जो तुझे चाहिए हो तू ले. आई वॉश माई हैंड्स ऑफ, है ना. आई वॉश माई हैंड्स ऑफ, दैट मीन्स आई एम नॉट रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर एनीथिंग नाउ, बिकॉज आई एम नॉट रेडी टू टेक एनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर इट. तुझे जो चाहिए वो ले ले. तू ब्रिटिशर्स को भगा या अपने फ्रांस को हरा दे, अभी मेरा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं है, प्लीज़, है ना. टेक वॉट यू प्लीज़. आई वॉश माई हैंड्स ऑफ इट. एंड जॉन वाइडली एक्साइटेड विथ हर सक्सेस, एकदम खुश हो जाती है. कम पॉली, है ना, चलो आ जाओ पॉली. एंड शी डैशेस आउट, और वो वहाँ से निकलती है. रॉबर्ट सेज शेकिंग पॉलिंग हिज हैंड्स, वो हाथ मिलाता है. गुड बाय ओल्ड मैन, आई एम टेकिंग अ बिग चांस. दैट मीन्स आई एम टेकिंग अ बिग रिस्क. एक बड़ा रिस्क लेने जा रहा हूँ. फ्यू अदर मैन वुड हैव डन इट, और कोई भी कर सकता था. बट एज यू से देयर इज़ समथिंग अबाउट हर. जैसे तूने बोला कि इस लड़की में कुछ है. एंड पॉलिंगी सेज यस देयर इज़ समथिंग अबाउट हर. इस लड़की में सही में कुछ है. एंड शी इज़ द यू कैन से अ मिरेकल फॉर आवर कंट्री. गुड बाय सर. ऐसे करके वो वहाँ पे उसको गुड बाय बोल के वो निकल पड़ता है. स्टूडेंट्स, इन माय वीडियो कुछ क्वेश्चंस के आंसर्स भी मैंने आपके सामने रखे हैं यहाँ पे, because according to your board syllabus this topic is very important for the exam point of view. तो देखते हैं बेटा. the first question, why had John wanted to meet Captain Square. John Captain Square रॉबर्ट दी बाउद्रिकोट को क्यों मिलना चाहती थी. John had wanted to meet Captain Square because he was the only person who could give John a horse, an armor, some soldiers and a permission to meet Dauphin. Okay. Then name the persons who John needed to free Orleans. कौन से कैरेक्टर्स थे जो जॉन डिमांड करी कि मुझे हेल्प के लिए दो. John needed some persons to free Orleans and those are Monsieur the Poligny, Squire Jake, John Godsev, Dick the Archer and their servant John of Honcourt and Julian. Was the Dauphin fit to be a prince and heir? क्या लगता है आपको. Dauphin fit था क्या राजा बनने के लिए. No, the Dauphin was not fit to be the prince and heir because he was in Chinon like a rat in the corner. That means frightened and had hidden himself. कैसे एक राजा छिप के बैठा है चूहे के जैसा. तो अकॉर्डिंग टू द राइटर डेओफिन यहाँ पे प्रिंस बनने के लायक नहीं है. वॉट वॉज द स्क्वायर्स ओपिनियन अबाउट मिरेकल्स? द स्क्वायर थॉट दैट द मिरेकल्स डिड नॉट हैपन इन दैट टाइम. अभी मिरेकल्स होते नहीं है, चमत्कार होते नहीं है. वॉट डिड रॉबर्ट एक्यूज पॉलिंगी ऑफ? क्यों चिल्लाता है उसके ऊपर? बिकॉज रॉबर्ट एक्यूज पॉलिंगी दैट ही वॉज एज मैड एज जॉन. तू भी पागल हो गया ऐसा बोल रहा है कि जैसे वो लड़की पागल हो गई है. द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, वॉट शोज जॉन इज अ पर्सन ऑफ इमेंस फेथ? कौन सा सिचुएशन था जहाँ पे वो लड़की में बहुत ताकत है वो दिख रहा है. जॉन बिलीव्ड दैट सोल्जरिंग कैन नॉट बी डिफिकल्ट इफ गॉड इज इन योर साइड. दिस शोज जॉन वॉज द पर्सन ऑफ इमेंस फेथ ऑन गॉड. द नेक्स्ट वन, वाई वेयर द फ्रेंच सोल्जर्स ऑलवेज बीटन? ये मार क्यों खाते थे फ्रेंच सोल्जर्स? द फ्रेंच सोल्जर्स वेयर बीटन, ऑलवेज बीटन बिकॉज दे वर फाइटिंग ओनली टू सेव देयर लाइफ, not for their country. So here the answer is the French soldiers were always beaten because they were fighting only to save their skins. What dress did John want? Dress, कौन सा dress चाहिए? She wanted a soldier's dress. What made Robert finally agree to the plan? When Robert heard her words, he thought her words were encouraging. If she could encourage Dauphin, she could encourage anyone. In her words, he also found the patriotism for France. Her firm attitude and courage made Robert finally agree to the plan. Why did John ask many soldiers? Why didn't John ask many soldiers from the captain's square? उनको ज़्यादा soldier क्यों नहीं चाहिए उस लड़की को? Because she knew that Dauphin would give her whatever she needed. क्योंकि उसको मालूम है राजा उसको जो चाहिए वो आर्मी के लिए देने वाला है. Why did Paulingi, Jack and Dick have offered to accompany John? ये तीन उसके साथ जाने के लिए क्यों तैयार हो गए? Because they thought that it was their last chance to save the Orleans and she had inspired them. They also thought that she had something like miraculous power. The last question, why did John Square say, I wash my hands off it? John Square ऐसा, Captain Square ऐसा क्यों स्टेटमेंट दे रहा है कि मैंने मेरे हाथ धो लिए इस मामले से? Because Captain Square had found that there was something about John, but he was doubtful to send her to the Dauphin. He thought that she would not be successful in her plan. He also thought that it was their last chance because he did not want to take any responsibility of anything. Some hard words are there. Look at this table. Grimly, seriously. Square, a person of high rank. Armor, protective clothing of metal or leather worn in battles by the soldier in former times. Blockade, that means a stupid person. Assuming, that is taking for granted. Monsieur, that is the French word for Mr. Retreats hastily, that means moves away in a hurry. Cowed, that means coward or frightened. Darpok, wavering, hesitating, have put fire into me, that have inspired or motivated. Obstinately, that means in a stubborn and firm manner. Gravely, seriously, raising a siege, that means surround from all sides and attack, removing the force surrounding place. Plundering, looting, to save their skins, that means to save their lives. Then let come what may, let anything happen, wash one's hands off it, not take any responsibility for it. One more activity is for you. Here is a picture of Rani Lakshmibai and Joan of Arc. So the question is, from an Indian history book or the internet, find out the information about the Indian women, that means queens who led battles. और वो information मैंने ऊपर ही आ गया वीडियो में ही वो सारे women's के नाम. Rani of Jhansi and Rani Karnavati of Mewar. Write out 3 points of similarities and 3 points of contrast between any one of the above Indian queens and Joan of Arc. Write in your own words. Okay, similarities देखो बेटा, both were courageous, दोनों हिम्मत वाली औरतें थी, who fought and won the battles for their respective nations. दोनों जीती है, रानी भी जीती है, रानी लक्ष्मीबाई भी, और दिस गर्ल ऑल्सो वॉन हर बैटल. बोथ डाइड यंग, दोनों यंग एज में ही मर गई. जॉन ऑफ आर्क एट द एज ऑफ 19 एंड रानी ऑफ झांसी एट द एज ऑफ 29. बोथ वर निक नेम, दोनों का पेट नेम था, निक नेम था. जॉन को बोलते थे द मेड एंड लक्ष्मीबाई का निक नेम था रानी ऑफ झांसी. See the dissimilarities between the two. Rani of Jhansi was the daughter of a court advisor, while Joan was a daughter of, you can say, simple peasant. एक गरीब फार्मर की लड़की थी और वो एक एडवाइजर की लड़की थी. Joan of Arc was burned at the stake. उसको जला दिया Joan of Arc को. Tied to a post and set on fire by the Burgundians. While Rani of Jhansi was killed in battle by the Britishers, उसको मार दिया था. रानी लक्ष्मीबाई वॉज एजुकेटेड एंड ट्रेंड वारफेयर. तो रानी लक्ष्मीबाई पढ़ी लिखी थी एंड उसको बेटा युद्ध नीति, लड़ाई कैसे करना वो आता था, वेयर एज जॉन वॉज नॉट. तो जॉन को ये सब नहीं सिखाया था बिकॉज शी वॉज अ पीजेंट गर्ल एंड हर पेरेंट्स वर पुअर. ओके बच्चा, आई होप दैट यू ऑल अंडरस्टैंड दिस टॉपिक जॉन ऑफ आर्क. So thank you for watching my video and जल्दी और एक वीडियो में हम लोग मिलने वाले हैं. ठीक है, गुड बाय.